I want to talk about the running game because I think, especially looking back at last year and kind of reflecting at, you know, how the running game started, what we were anticipating, what actually happened, right? Jeff Wilson gets hurt in the offseason. He's out. You lose some depth. Raheem Mostert, of course, second carry of the season, he gets hurt.
Yep.
The run game is in a much better position than they were last year, if not for depth's sake, right? Because last year was all about Elijah Mitchell. It had to be about Elijah Mitchell and Debo, right?
Like Jeff Wilson was a ghost last year. So now he's back. Yep.
Well, and
now
the thing with
Mason.
The thing with the Debo thing, right, is they only did that when they had to go to it, right? It was one of those things where they kind of ran into it, where they're like, well, shit. I mean, we can't do anything else. We're running out of running backs. Elijah Mitchell can't stay healthy, and we need that explosiveness. So now I think the thing with Debo this year is like in games against the Bears, right? He shouldn't carry the ball more than 1-2 times. I mean, that's just completely unnecessary. And there's going to be at least 5-6 games like that this year. But then you look at some of their tougher matchups, Kansas City, the Chargers, the Rams even. Like, you're going to use Debo when you need to use Debo, but you don't have to use him like you had to use him last year, right?
Also, you can use it like the threat of him. Like, so we're seeing like the pistol triple option. If he's in the backfield, you don't have to throw it to him. You can fake the pitch to him, and all of a sudden Trey's running, or just his presence in the backfield, if you know you're going to run anyway, makes your running play more successful. You're going to see stuff like that. You're also going to see them throw to him out of the backfield too. He's going to be in there a lot.
Exactly. And then you mentioned the threat of Debo, but we're talking about the threat of a whole new quarterback who can actually move and is the complete opposite from Jimmy Garoppolo, right? I mean, you're talking about a guy who, like, I hate to like keep crapping on Jimmy, but like, man, he has cement feet. That's like, I feel like his biggest weakness right now is the fact that he just cannot move, even when he
can't move, can't really protect himself on a football field as well as he should.
And the thing with Trey this year, right? I think at some point he's going to miss time. I anticipate that. But I also think he's going to be able to protect himself much, much better. And I think it's going to be one of those situations where maybe Trey misses a half, maybe 2 games. Of course, you can't like predict a big injury, but I think all things considered and the type of players he can protect himself better. And then this run game is going to be able to protect him a lot more, right? Because they're not going to have to rely on Trey.
I agree. I have a prediction, though. If the Niners go far, if they win the Super Bowl this year, both Trey and Jimmy are going to have to play at a certain point and play well. I'm not saying Trey's going to get benched, but I have a feeling, it's not it's a very small offensive line. He's probably going to miss a few games. Jimmy's going to probably have to play well and win. And then Trey's going to have to come back and play and win some. I think they can do it, but I do think Jimmy's actually important this year. And for a team that's going to win with running and defense, like, that's fine to have 2 quarterbacks that aren't great, but you probably need both of them. You're probably going to need both of them. That's the way I look at it. I don't know. Hopefully not. Hopefully Trey can just run the table.
Well, I mean, I think you're definitely going to need both of them. And then just like, I mean, looking at the schedule of the season, right? 17 games in 18 weeks. I don't think they're going to get the bye this year. I think the NFC, like the top end of the NFC, is going to be a little tougher than I think people are expecting. I think the Bucs are going to be that team this year, honestly. And I think, if you're mapping out the season saying you expect them to get to an NFC championship game, that's like 20-something games, 21 weeks. I mean, you're only getting one bye. So I just think, like, they put themselves in a much better position. Like I said, with the beginning of what I was talking about, the running game is so much better. You don't just have to rely on Elijah Mitchell, right? Because when we saw Elijah Mitchell go out last year, I mean, they were scrambling to figure out, what the hell are we going to do? Game plan to game plan.
I mean, you could argue that Jeff Wilson Jr. is better than Elijah Mitchell when healthy, or that Jordan Mason is better than both of them. I mean, they have 3 guys that I really like, and then we'll see. I'm not writing off Ty Davis Price yet. I've seen him in 3 preseason games. We'll see.
No, and
he's fast. He's the fastest running back on the team.
Yeah, I think even if Elijah Mitchell is the best running back, you have all these other guys who can do different things where game to game, game plan to game plan, series to series, you can mix it up a lot. And I think that's just the thing that they lacked last year, right? If they had Raheem Mostert even for half the season last year, how different would that have looked? I mean, it just would have been a completely different 49ers team. They wouldn't have been 3-5.
To me, Raheem Mostert is as efficient and as good of a running back as any player in the league when healthy. The problem is he was healthy for 2 carries last year, and that really, really screwed the Niners. Really.
Totally. Yeah. Well, and then, I mean, I also think the Jeff Wilson thing, like, I think it can't be like them losing him when they did, and then losing
Yeah.
Raheem Mostert how they did, like they just became so desperate. I mean, like what the hell are you supposed to do? And I think
they like Jacques Patrick on the field and stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah,
that's not what Kyle wants to do, Grant. Like he loves his running backs, you know. And when they had them, I think it's going to be much better this year. I think the last thing I want to end on is, well, one thing first. I love the defense. I mean, everyone loves the defense this year. Defense is going to be great. But I'm interested to see what happens with the passing game, because I think right now the odd man out is Brandon Ayuk, right? I mean, that's just how things are going to roll, because this is going to be a run-first offense. So how do you find that balance of, okay, we're going to find ways to get Debo the ball, right? We don't have to pass to Debo to get him the ball. So I think, like we were talking about earlier in those games where, you know, against the Chargers, those bigger games, right, where they need Debo to run the ball, throw to Brandon Ayuk, get him those targets, right? I think if they handle things the right way, they can mix it up a lot. And then, you know, I don't love their depth at wide receiver. I wish it was a little better, but it's one of those things like, how good can your depth really be when you have those 3 pass catchers? You know, I mean, it's just tough. When
those guys should be getting the bulk of the targets anyway.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see with only like, you know, 18 to 25 throws a game, like Juwan Jennings, Ray, you know, like maybe here and there, but probably not a lot, because really it's Kyle's job to get the ball to one of those 3 guys or the running back.
Well, and it's more, you know, juice too. I mean, but if any of those wide receivers misses times, you know, Juwan Jennings, Ray McCloud, they might have a game. They might have a game or 2. You know, it might be one of those things, but I just don't think they're going to get a lot of targets.
Ben, I got to stop you here. Otherwise, every person's going to go for 10 minutes. But I love you, man. It's good to see you.
No, it's great to talk to you. I'll text you sometime soon, Grant. It's been a while.
All right, man.